Hey, it's John. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the latest edition of the album After. The premise of this series is to talk about an album that was released after a band or artist's most successful album. This album After was recommended by my friend David Bodis. You may know David Bodis from a previous edition of the live cut here on John the Music Nut when we talked about the Runaways live in Japan. You may also know him from the Contrarians or Rock Daydream Nation. Thank you, David, for offering this suggestion to me. I really think this is a great album after episode. We're going to talk about Crosby, Stills, and Nash with their third album, CSN. This was released on June 17, 1977, on Atlantic Records. This would be the album after their second album with Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young from 1970, Deja Vu. Deja Vu would be the biggest album for Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young, also counting all of their respective bands and solo careers. This sold 7 million copies alone in the United States. It would go to number one on the Billboard Hot Top 200 album charts. It would also hit number one in Denmark, Australia, and Canada. Will give us 3 top 40 hits, which have endured like a fine wine, thanks to their inclusions in television shows, television commercials, movies, songs like Teach Your Children, number 14 hit, Our House, number 30 hit, and Woodstock, Joni Mitchell's song, which they made their own, would go to number 11. It's a classic album. This album was released 7 years later, and during those 7 years, this band went through a lot of ups and downs, great highs, some spectacular lows. The highs were right after Deja Vu because they all released solo albums that year that were all very successful. Neil Young had several albums during this period. Stephen Stills had solo albums. He had albums with Manassas, his band with Chris Hillman, and David Crosby and Graham Nash recorded albums as a duo. And those albums were very successful also. There was a lot going on. They couldn't get Neil Young into the band at this time. So we got this album in 1977, hit number 2 on the top 200. Could not hit number 1 because Fleetwood Mac's Rumors came out that year, and that was another animal that was number 1 for 31 weeks during 1977 and 78. What we have here is a mature album, a more mature album than the first 2, maybe not as classic, maybe not as enduring. The production is a little more of its time. It does have a soft rock production to it. The musicianship on here is outstanding, as are the songs. This is a different Crosby, Stills, and Nash, but still a band and a record that reaps many rewards with each listen. Wonderful album. So, before I talk about the album, let's talk about who played on the album. We have David Crosby on lead vocals, harmony vocals, electric and acoustic guitar, and string arrangements. We have Graham Nash on vocals and harmony vocals, harmonica, piano, and string arrangements as well. We have Stephen Stills, who's the MVP of this band, on lead vocals and harmony vocals, bass guitar, electric and acoustic guitars, keyboards, piano, string arrangements, and timbales. Other musicians who played on this band, some of them in more than one role, include Craig Dorge, George Chocolate Perry, Gerald Johnson, Jimmy Haslip, Joe Vitale, Mike Finnegan, Mike Lewis, Ray Barretto, Russ Kunkel, and Tim Drummond. This was produced by the band along with Ron Albert and Howard Albert for Fat Albert Productions. Now, let's talk about the album. Here's the album cover right here. And here's the back cover. If you have the CSN box set, this picture will look very familiar because this is the cover of their box set that came out in 1991. And that is a wonderful box set that I've owned a copy of for many, many years. Thank you, Dan, for hooking me up with that. Excellent box set. I highly recommend it. It has a lot of demos on there, a lot of original tracks, but you get a lot of tracks that weren't on the proper albums as well. So the album opens with Shadow Captain. Shadow Captain is a wonderful opener. The piano lines here from Craig Dorsch are wonderful. Some great hooks in those piano lines. The harmonies are in full bloom. They sound fantastic. Very joyous song on here. Wonderful track. Great opener. See the Changes, one of several tracks on here from Stephen Stills. It's a relationship song here. At this time, Stephen Stills was going through a divorce. And you see there's a lot of pain and sorrow in these lyrics. Even though it sounds like something that could have came off the first album in its presentation, because it's just Stephen on acoustic guitar and Crosby, Stills, and Nash singing together. It's very, very well done. But, a lot more personal lyrics on here. Very, very good. Carried Away is one of two nice piano ballads from Graham Nash on this album. Very tight, 2.5 minutes. Sometimes you have David singing the leads with Graham on here. They did several albums, 3 albums by this point together as a duo. So this sounds like it would fit in on those albums. You got these nice splashes of harmonica and electric piano from Joe Vitale on here. The harmonicas from Graham. Very tight again. Wonderful song. Fair Game was the second single. This would hit number 43 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles charts. Okay, you got those wonderful harmonies, those great acoustic guitar riffs from Stephen on here, and you do have a bit of a Latin influence on this song, and a few others on here with the congas from Ray Barretto and the timbales from Stephen Stills. Wonderful bass line here from George Perry. The songs he plays on, his bass really, really stands out. They sound great, all singing together here to David, Stephen, and Graham. The lyrics are very poignant, very personal, bit risque. Probably was a little difficult to get this on AM radio back in 77 when AM radio was still the major format to listen to music, but it's a very cool tune. I really dig it. Anything at all? This is David's turn at a nice piano ballad. And this works very, very well. The harmonies on here are wonderful. You got splashes of acoustic and electric piano on here. Work very well. Very, very mellow track for David. David sometimes will write these songs that are a little more spiritual, a little bit more off kilter. This is more of a Graham song to me, but it works very well. Cathedral, this is one of the showcases of the album. This is the epic, I would say, 5 minutes and 15 seconds. You have that haunting piano on here. This is a song that Graham wrote about an acid trip he had when he was on his 32nd birthday, and he talks about what he was experiencing, going to Winchester Cathedral. He references that a few times. Harmonies on here are wonderful. The chorus is a mind blower. It is fantastic. The string arrangements on here really add to the song as well. Very haunting song, but yet it's a very beautiful song too. This got played a lot back in the day on Album Oriented Rock Radio. Well, maybe not a lot. Sometimes it would get played on Rock 107 WECX FM, Scranton, Pennsylvania, the home of rock and roll. locally owned and operated to this day. Cathedral is a wonderful track. Song that the band had done for many, many years in their live shows as well. And that Graham would do when he would play solo shows. Next song is Dark Star. This is another one that you used to hear on Rock 107 back in the day. This song is really, really cool. And again, George Perry has wonderful bass lines on here. I think that bass line really carries that song, along with those organ lines on there and those nice guitar lines from Steven. Excellent track. Really cool feel on this. It does have more of an island feel on there. The harmonies are wonderful. Excellent chorus on this as well. This is one of my favorite songs on the album. Next song is Just a Song Before I Go. This was the only big hit on the album. This hit number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100. And this was a song that Graham wrote on a dare or on a bet as he was leaving Hawaii to go back home. One of his friends said, "Oh, it's 20 minutes before you go. I bet you can't write a song before you go." He didn't. He wrote Crosby, Stills, and Nash's highest charting hit single. This is soft rock bliss. The harmonies on here are impeccable. The lyrics and the chorus are wonderful. Those nice splashes of electric piano really, really add to the song. You got nice, sparse electric guitars here from Steven that work very well. Just a beautiful song. Again, this is a soft rock classic to me. It is wonderful. Run from Tears is more of a rocker, particularly when they get into the chorus and the electric guitars really, really kick in. We got some great harmonies on here. This one hits a little harder because Steven also has 2 pretty cool guitar solos on here that work very well. Very good track. Cold Rain is the second of Graham Nash's 2 piano ballads. This works very well. We got orchestration on here. I don't know if it works quite as well on here as it would on Cathedral. I think if you just kept it more stark and barren, I think it still puts across the same point. It's still a great song without the string arrangements, but I still think it's very well done. Again, we got those wonderful harmonies. In My Dreams, this is a David Crosby track. This is pretty cool as well. It's very whimsical. Very, very cool. It's a little more off kilter, but when it gets into that chorus, it takes a while to get into the chorus too. It's a really cool tune. It just takes a little bit to get to the chorus, but it's very well done. I Give You, Give Blind is the closer. This is a little more harder hitting, more rocking, but you got string arrangements on here, but here they complement the song a little better than Cold Rain. This is a Stephen Stills track, and this is a good closer. I wouldn't say necessarily a great one, certainly good. Like, yeah, I'm kind of peters out just a little bit at the end. Up like from Cold Rain on, I think it peters just a little bit, but it's still a very, very fine album. This album sold 4 million copies compared to 7 million for Deja Vu. Did this deserve a better fate? I think it sold what it should have sold. I don't know what else would have really been a big hit on here if you were to go with a third single. I think Just a Song Before I Go is perfect first single. I don't know if you want to go in that same vein with the third single. The second single rocks really hard, but the lyrics are a little risque, so maybe that prevented some AM programmers from playing it. As far as a song like Dark Star got played heavy on AOR and Cathedral, but I don't know if you could say there was like hits on those. They're just great songs. There's a lot of great songs there. Maybe See the Changes would have been a good single, perhaps. But anyway, this is the album after Deja Vu. How would I rank these? Deja Vu, I bought this in high school, 1989. I've had this This is the original CD that came out, and then they reissued it, and then they remastered it and added extra tracks. This is a classic, but if it were me to rank the CSN canon, CSNY canon, the debut I give a 10. This I give a 9 because there's a lot of classics on here, but I'm not too big into the Country Girl Suite. And this I go 8.5. There's a lot of great songs on here. It's a more mature release. Not as many classics, but it's very well done. All the members on here really shine. You got some of their best songs, in my opinion, with Shadow Captain, Just a Song Before I Go, Dark Star, Cathedral. I think they're all wonderful. And you have a few others that are really close in Carried Away and Anything at All. I think they're very good as well. So, this is the album after CSN, third album from 1977. Do you own this album? And if you do, what do you think of this album? How would you rank this as compared to Deja Vu? Do you think it's a stronger album than Deja Vu? Or do you think Deja Vu is stronger? How would you rank this in their canon? How would you compare this to later albums like Daylight Again, American Dream, Live It Up? What are your favorite songs on CSN? What are your favorite songs by CSN, period? Have you seen them live? They used to tour every summer for many, many years. I only saw them once live, and it was in 2014. By that point, Crosby and Nash still sang like angels. Stills couldn't sing as well anymore, but he was still a wicked-ass guitar player. And he played like a monster the entire night. Please let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for joining me for the latest edition of the album after. Do what you love, and I'll talk to you soon.